Hello and welcome to another edition of Indie Advocates Presents Last Rights Kickstarter List. These are the Kickstarters that are about to blast off of Kickstarter thanks to your help. And before we start, if you look right here in the right corner in our cool new sliding widget, there we go, that's the name of it, a widget, we have the whole This Week in Indie Comics scrolling. But one of the things we want to talk about was supporting Kickstarter only takes $1. That's right, $1 can show support, attract attention, help fund projects, support new creators, and more importantly, create new worlds, which stops the reboot culture that we all fucking hate. Also, if you guys want to do your own Kickstarter, a great way to do that is to get this book off of Amazon about Kickstarter for the independent creator, a second edition. It's a practical and informative guide to crowdfunding, now available, written by Madeline Holly Rising and Kristen Shin. This week's episode is entitled Issue 22, A Liar, a Gentleman Play Cat and Mouse as They Go West for Power Maidens. What does all that mean? Well, let's find out as we go down the Kickstarter Last Rights list. On the show today, we're going to talk about Liar. Liar is a graphic novel. It's a 112-page full-color graphic novel. We're going to talk about The Gentleman, The Darkness of the Void, Oliver Solomon. We're going to talk about the Superscript, the comic book writer's sidekick. Also on the show is Cat and Mouse, the first of 4-issue miniseries. Power Knights, number 4. Become a Knight. Sword Maidens, adults only. Go West, the collected edition. So we're going to jump into all of this amazingness in just 1 minute. But before we do that,
big city. Big city. Big city. Big city.
Hi, this is Jeff Kaufman from Big City Comic Studios. I'm the publisher and writer of Liar. Liar is about a 22-year-old New York film student whose father lied to him his whole life. I mean, terrible lies. And every time he turned around, his father was telling him this big one and that big one. And finally, his father comes to him and says, "The truth is, son, I'm a spy. And I tell all these lies to keep you and your mother safe, because as long as I'm not a threat to the organization, nobody will ever come looking for me." The problem is this, is that he now knows too much. And he says, they're going to come looking for you to fill in for me. So all the stuff I've taught you, all the bizarre lessons, the stories, everything else, you're going to have to deliver for them. Of course, Gabriel thinks that this is nonsense. And a year later, he's playing on his Xbox. And suddenly a mission comes over on his television. And he thinks it's a joke until suddenly there's a video of his mother. And they're saying, in 15 minutes, if you don't do what we tell you to do, your mother dies. And that's basically where Liar is. I wrote Liar during the time period where my dad was sick and dying. And he passed before the book was finished. And I didn't realize how much of what was going on in my life was actually occurring in the pages of this book. In this book, Gabriel has a problem with his dad. He doesn't realize the problem is that he sees so much of himself in his father. That's what really bothers him. And I think this book really teaches us that everything good and bad about them, sometimes winds up in us. Why Kickstarter? For years, I didn't get it. Kickstarter is really about the community. It's about getting people involved in the book so that those people who can't get to San Diego Comic-Con or New York or Dragon Con or MegaCon or Chicago have an opportunity to actually be part of the creation of a book. Now, we do need this. I mean, we are an independent publisher. All the artwork's done, and you will help us make sure it gets to print with all the other cool options we want to include in it. I really can't thank you enough. This is a huge deal. To be able to keep publishing these books, to be able to keep putting these out and creating these is such a big deal to the people out there, to me, to my family, and to the readers out there who don't normally get an opportunity to read anything outside of the big two.
Maintain control, find the inner strength in the total pole. Every day's a war that you have to win. The game forgiveness for your father's sins. The battle for a soul. Maintain control, find the inner strength in the total pole. Every day's a war that you have to win. The game forgiveness for your father's sins.
All right, so we're going to head over to that amazing Kickstarter. And I only found out about this, true story. I only found out about this as I was at, sorry about checking the camera there on you guys. I only found out about this when I was over at MegaCon, which was pretty cool. I've known Jeffrey. We've done an interview with him. I know Jeff from years now, but I didn't know he was doing a panel. I happened in on this panel, and my God, what a passionate gentleman, and honest in a way that new creators need to hear. I think creators don't get it. I think creators are sometimes they're counting their money before they're willing to put the work in. And Jeff put it to him straight. He gave them the advice they needed to hear and hopefully inspired a lot of people. He has an amazing book, 9/11, which I wanted to get. I ran out of time, man. I can't wait to run into Jeff again. I got to get his, I want to buy it from his table, the 911 and 9/11 one. I ran, MegaCon was a beast on me. Plus, I've still been injured. So I had trouble literally getting around the show floor at times. My sciatic nerves were still firing. Ironically, they're healing up right now, which is great. I'm actually able to sleep for once and not waking up like I got hit by a truck. But I didn't get to get it, so it's a regret. But I made sure to get this book, and I backed it. As you guys can see, I got the Liar digital edition. Now I want to get the soft cover, but I want to buy it from the table. I don't know why, but I always think it's easier to get a PDF on here and then buy it there. It's an interesting story. I really like it. I like how his personal life kind of affects the art, and that happens to a lot of us as creators. He's got such a great collection of work too. I've read his horror book, by the way, and I've read Terminal Alice. He's a great writer. He really is. And I'm not trying to kiss anyone's ass on this show. And I'm not trying to just tell you about how great my friends are. If I didn't believe it, I wouldn't say it. And that's just the God's honest truth. I think he's a talented guy. I think he knows how to write. I think he's very passionate. He's also a kind of a smartass, which is fine by me because I am definitely kind of a smartass myself. And Scary Tales, which is also something that's been pretty big with them. Look, man, I mean, this is a fantastic book. And I'm looking at some of the Kickstarter too, because this is new to me. I only looked at it today for the first time. This is a fantastic book. It's from a great creator, and they tripled what they've asked for, but there's always room for more. Get involved, get the starter pack. If you guys don't know who this man is, get the Big City starter pack, which is amazing. You get Liar, you get Horror, you get Terminal Alice. If I didn't have Horror and Terminal Alice, this is what I would have gotten. And I'm going to get the book when I see it. And I like the variant covers. If there was variant limited editions, I might actually go and get that one, the red one. I don't know why, but it really speaks to me. You know, and he did an amazing panel. He's a guy that you wanna follow. I can't speak highly enough about him. He's also, I mean, this is a great class of creators right now that we're going to be talking about with their projects. Right after this is Marcel Dupree, and just these guys are the hustlers of indie comics that work their ass off. And Jeff is definitely one of those guys. I remember when his dad was dying and he was on social media, and I felt horrible. So I am glad that he found a way to kind of put some of those emotions into something, and that means this is going to be a lot more powerful. And if you ever get the chance to go to one of his panels, really take the time to do it. I mean, I don't know if I could nail it better than he does, the energy that he puts in it. So with that in mind, I'm going to let him talk about it one more time because it hasn't been on the show once. We're just going to watch the video twice. But this time, I really want you to listen again because I know the first time you see something, you don't always get it. Like me, it's the first time it's new. This isn't new now. I give you Jeff.
I'm the publisher and writer of Liar. Liar is about a 22-year-old New York film student whose father lied to him his whole life. I mean, terrible lies. And every time he turned around, his father was telling him this big one and that big one. And finally, his father comes to him and says, "The truth is, son, I'm a spy. And I tell all these lies to keep you and your mother safe because as long as I'm not a threat to the organization, nobody will ever come looking for me." The problem is that he now knows too much. And he says, they're going to come looking for you to fill in for me. So all the stuff I've taught you, all the bizarre lessons, the stories, everything else, you're going to have to deliver for me. Of course, Gabriel thinks that this is nonsense. And a year later, he's playing on his Xbox. And suddenly a mission comes over on his television. And he thinks it's a joke until suddenly there's a video of his mother. And they're saying, in 15 minutes, if you don't do what we tell you to do, your mother dies. And that's basically where Liar came from. I wrote Liar during the time period where my dad was sick and dying. and he passed before the book was finished. And I didn't realize how much of what was going on in my life was actually occurring in the pages of this book. And this book, Gabriel has a problem with his dad. He doesn't realize the problem is that he sees so much of himself in his father. That's what really bothers him. And I think this book really teaches us that everything good and bad about them, sometimes winds up in us. Why Kickstarter? For years, I didn't get it. Kickstarter is really about the community. It's about getting people involved in the book so that those people who can't get to San Diego Comic-Con or New York or Dragon Con or MegaCon or Chicago have an opportunity to actually be part of the creation of a book. Now, we do need this. I mean, we are an independent publisher. All the artwork's done, and you will help us make sure it gets to print with all the other cool options we want to include in it. I really can't thank you enough. This is a huge deal. To be able to keep publishing these books, to be able to keep putting these out, creating these, is such a big deal to the people out there, to me, to my family, and to the readers out there who don't normally get an opportunity to read anything outside of the big two.
Maintain control, find the inner strength in the total pole. Every day's a war that you have to win. You gain forgiveness for your father's sins. The battle for a soul. Maintain control, find the inner strength in the total pole. Every day's a war that you have to win. You gain forgiveness for your father's sins.
All right, so I know that. Oh, excuse me. I know you guys are excited as I am. And I like the fact that he mentions the fact that at one point he didn't necessarily get Kickstarter. And I think some creators who really worked their ass off to do it on their own sometimes didn't understand that it wasn't some cheap thing to do necessarily, because there was an idea for a while. It was going around that going to Kickstarter was kind of almost a dirty thing. And I remember when Kickstarter came out and that was kind of a conversation. Were you selling out almost by doing it, by using Kickstarter? So I'm glad to see Jeff turn around, and we talked about it a bit at the panel, and I gave him some ideas, including the one about Bob Sally told me about how it gives you an international fan base. So credit to Bob Sally on that. We do have to move on, but you do not. You can back it and own it today on Kickstarter. Our second amazing project on the list today is The Gentleman. Let's find out more about The Gentleman. And I always loved on the last video when you don't have to talk and the creator can do it for me. This is a cool video, so check it out, just like the last one we watched.
I watch it all escape their eyes. All hope, all standing memories of the good times evaporate from their faces. The lines and lifeless eyes now showcase a myriad of hurt, pain, heartbreak. This is the portrait I've grown accustomed to. It still breaks my own heart to read those changed faces. Not being desensitized at least helps me feel human still. Time heals all wounds, they say. But what exactly do they know? They seem to never take into account the ripple effects that happen. And not everyone is built to bounce back so quickly, unfortunately. Some people, instead of healing, find means to do something stupid.
Hi, my name is Greg Anderson Elise, and I am the writer of The Gentleman, Darkness of the Void. Spinning off from Evelu Zion's SFC Comics line, Darkness of the Void follows the character of the gentleman Oliver Solomon, in a Lovecraftian-inspired horror noir story about the haunting ghosts from the past, along with the ghosts from the forthcoming future. In this 4-part miniseries, the gentleman finds himself drawn to a mysterious woman seeking life and protection from a mysterious being of possibly supernatural origins. Unfortunately, to protect her, Oliver must succumb to his special abilities, a hereditary curse that uses his body as a key and vessel to the void, an ancient evil with the means to destroy all life as we know it. This journey will find Oliver struggling with his past, his curse, and the connection to the void, Can this mysterious woman help him? Can she be trusted? What is her connection to Oliver and the Void itself? I'm deeply honored to have been approached by creator Marcel Dupree. I find this character to be both a challenge and refreshing for me to write and develop, especially with the prospect of exploring and tackling Black characters in such a horror noir fantasy setting. With art by Massimiliano Veltri and Marco Pagnotta. On behalf of the whole team, we at Evolu Zion Publishing hope that you're willing to take this dark and surreal journey with us. Thank you.
All right, let's head over to Kickstarter and check this out. Thrilled to see that it's already funded. 250 backers. Just an amazing thing. The gentleman is, as they said, a spinoff of the FFC universe, and it was an intended spinoff. I know from the very beginning that this was one of those characters that was meant to spin off of that. And it's so amazing the world that it's creating. Just look at this library. This library is an intense library for anyone who supports indie comics. Right here, just $5 or more, you get to have this amazing library. There's some amazing art that goes through it. And I get to see some art that comes in before you guys do. And I've been thrilled about this project for months now. Such a great team. And Marcel Dupree belongs in this. I don't know how he's not listed here. He's the genius behind it. He is the creative force making sure that this is all getting done. He is, of course, the creator of Evolutionine and the entire brand behind it. He works so hard and does so much. He should get a lot of credit. This is an amazing project. I love the fact that he's built this whole universe that is now bringing in these amazing and diverse characters, from aliens to people of all color. This is certainly a new brand of comic book and storytelling. And I love the art in it. The art is so cool. And it's kind of deep, too. It's powerful in the way that it's drawn. The storytelling, of course, I know is going to be powerful. I love the art right there. You know, this is just something that is absolutely insane. And remember, this is just part 1 of 4. So you got to buckle up for a bigger story right here. And I'm so happy to see it funded, which means I know that this is going to be something that's going to be fantastic. You guys can see I'm getting my PDF. And the hope is eventually that I get to meet the entire Evolutionine group somewhere on the Comic-Con highway. I've talked to Marcel about coming to Florida or maybe meeting somewhere in the middle at one point. I would be so thrilled for us to be able to not necessarily share a table, but be in the same artist alley. But I'd happily share a table. I just don't know if there's enough room with all of his books for me to even try to put my books on his table. And I'd love to do a crossover with him. There's this new book that he has, Punishment, that I could see playing with a little bit. So kidding around aside, though, this is definitely some content that is strong, because I know that everything coming out of the SFC has been crafted so wonderfully, and it's been such a creative presence behind it. And I mean, 250 people agree, so congratulations. 50 hours to go. Your time's almost up to back this. So don't wait. Get onto the Kickstarter and back the gentleman today. We're going to move on to our next amazing project, Superscript.
Ready?
Check it out.
Writers today have dozens of text editors to choose from, but none of them really make it easier to write for comic books. When I began writing comics, I wanted a text editor that would take care of the tedious parts of writing to let me focus on my characters and story. Superscript is just that. Superscript formats and numbers page and panel headings for you as you type, even recalculating the numbers automatically when you go back to edit. Superscript also tallies up your spoken word count per page, panel, and bubble. It auto-completes your fictional character names, and unlike web-based text editors, Superscript allows you to keep control over your own documents, save and share however you want. But we're not quite there yet. We need your help to pay for QA testing, website development, licensing, distribution services, drawing pie charts, more testing, and then more development.
Now, I just want to say that this could be a game changer for many people. For me, it will be. I'm going to love using this, and we're going to go over to the Kickstarter, and you guys can see that I put my money where my mouth is. And I suggest everyone does this. You get the pledge $100, you get a lifetime license plus a featured credit. Plus, I'm going to be a featured backer on the, or I guess that's the featured credit, but I'll be accredited on the Superscript app, which oh man. This is something that I've been excited about, and I thank everyone who listened to me and backed it. I know I saw a couple people asking me about it and asking me if I thought it was serious. I've used it, and I suggest to everyone, time's not up. There is a free preview here for you guys to use. Download it, see it, check it out, and I guarantee you, just playing with it for a few minutes, and you're going to want it. It's just that simple. And the fact that this is just beginning makes me so excited to get down on it for $100. I honestly see that this software could be something huge, like the next Word, but for us, and $100 is nothing in comparativeness. Oh, and Justin is actually here. He's actually in the chat room. The creative mind behind it is here with us now. So I am thrilled to bring you guys this amazing Kickstarter. It has automatic numbering, automatic formatting. It has spoken word count. It has autocomplete. It can add comments and images, and it exports too, which means it can export to different types of programs, which is important depending on who you're working with. And look, there's even a video down here that we're going to take a look at. It's a quick video, but we're going to give it a look. All right. And there are some limited rewards down here, commissioned portrait bundles, and also Josh Dahl's Rapid City Below Zero reward tier is there. But I really, really, really do suggest that you take advantage of licensing, even if you don't want to put out $100 right now, which I do suggest $100. Go ahead and get yourself a 1-year license or a subscription for life. I like this one, $100, because it's a lifetime license, plus it includes updates of all the features we haven't even thought of yet. So I'm like grandfathered in right now. And I don't know about the rest of you guys, but until the day I die, which is hopefully far, far away, in a galaxy far, far away as well, I'm going to be writing comics, and I'm going to be using this as much as I can to create some of the best stuff that I can. And I look forward to really enjoying it and talking about it with you guys more and seeing it grow. If it was a stock, I would invest in it. Let me put it to you that way. And I don't know what else I can say with that. I'm going to give you guys another look at it because I was pretty quick. I want you to really think this time. So, like I said, sometimes watching something twice, we all watch trailers twice. Why not watch this twice?
Ready, time.
Writers today have dozens of text editors to choose from, but none of them really make it easier to write for comic books. When I began writing comics, I wanted a text editor that would take care of the tedious parts of writing to let me focus on my characters and story. Superscript does just that. Superscript formats and numbers page and panel headings for you as you type, even recalculating the numbers automatically when you go back to edit. Superscript also tallies up your spoken word count for page, panel, and bubble. It auto-completes your fictional character names, and unlike web-based text editors, Superscript allows you to keep control over your own documents, save and share however you want. But we're not quite there yet. We need your help to pay for QA testing, website development, licensing, distribution services, growing pie charts, more testing, and then more development.
All right. So check out where they've reached their goals. So that's pretty cool that they've extended some of their licenses. So if you did 6 months, now you get 7, 12 to 13, 6 on the 6,000 now is made at 8, and then it went to 14. And finally, 6 months went to 9 months, while 12 went to 15. And if we can get it up to 7,000, you guys are going to be looking at 10 to 16. I think that actually, wait, it's crossed so close. It's 6,000. Yeah, it could definitely hit 7. So help everyone out. Try to get it up to 7,000 and spread the word, man. This is great. And update. Seriously, pledge the $100 if you got it. If you got it, now's the time to invest. We do have to move on to our next amazing Kickstarter, which is brought to us by Roland Man. It's Cat and Mouse. It's back and it's fully funded.
Hi, and welcome to the Kickstarter for Cat and Mouse #1. My name is Roland Mann, and I'm the writer for the comic. Cat and Mouse #1 is the first of a 4-issue miniseries. The first issue contains 22 pages of story and art. And while you can read more about the story below, in a nutshell, this is a crime action drama with a smattering of superheroics tossed in. It deals with an issue that's important to me, and that is the issue of human trafficking and human slavery. It's an epidemic that is often overlooked and is happening right under our noses. And while the theme is an adult one, the book is a general audience book, as we believe this is the kind of story that should be accessible to readers of any age. And we've assembled a rock star creative team too, at least on the art side. As a fun little piece of trivia, all 4 of us are Malibu Comics alum. In fact, that's how I know Dean Zachary, Mark Kalberg, and Kevin Gallagly. Collectively, we've got over 100 years of experience in our respective skills, but we're not as old as that makes us sound. If you don't remember Malibu, you'll have to look them up, but they're the company that originally published Men in Black. And if Cat and Mouse sounds familiar to you, yep, a different story was published in the late 80s and the early 90s by EF Graphics, and then by Malibu's Aircell. The Aircell series lasted for 18 issues and was in the Comic Shop News Top 10 Black and White comics for about half the run. Anyway, thank you for checking us out. There are lots of pledge levels, a little something for everyone. Pledge if you can. Share the heck out of this regardless. We can't do this without your help. Thanks a lot.
Now, for those of you who might not know who Roland Mann is, he worked for Marvel as an editor, did some amazing work in many different comic books as the editor. So he's also a very smart guy. We've had him on the panel. And if you want to learn more about his experiences, we actually have it now featured as our featured video. He actually did a sit down with the Power Hour of Love with his entire team talking about the Kickstarter. We don't have that type of time to show you because it went on for over an hour of amazing knowledge, but we do have enough time to quickly look at this amazing Kickstarter. Now, you know about the story somewhat, but there's a little bit of a preview here where you guys can get caught up a little bit on it. And the stuff that I heard, and I really do suggest listening to that preview. Sorry, not the preview, the video that they did, Power Hour of Love. And the fact that this book is already done, so it's going to be shipping out in just a few weeks. Great creative staff. The fact that it completely funded will tell you exactly all you need to know within 24 hours, completely funded. So I'm so excited. I've been happy to cover this. It's so cool that you guys can also have coloring critique, an ink critique, or even a writing critique from Roland Mann. So, I mean, these are things that you as a creator might be able to really be able to be part of that will really help you in the future of what you're doing. You know, I mean, one of the greatest things offered is the advice sometimes on these Kickstarters that you get to hear about. You can also be drawn into some comics, which I know Galaxia does right now. I don't think that's in this book necessarily, but I do love the fact that this is from a good creative staff. It's something powerful, and it's got a message. It's about something, like Roland said, it's something very important to him. They've done a fantastic job without us, obviously, helping. But if I can just help them raise a few extra bucks, I'd be so appreciative of you guys. So do me a favor, take a look at this amazing project today. And you guys can see they even explain where the money goes and all the amazing stuff that you guys can see in this amazing Kickstarter right here. And one last piece of little info that I want to leave you with about this is the fact that, let me see, I want to know if I'm right or wrong. Okay. There was a time with the Power Hour of Love said the 200 backer was going to get something special, but considering it's already at 202, fortunately that's mute now. But you guys can see I'm getting this, and then when I see Roland down the road, I'm going to buy my hard copy directly from the man, so I can get It's signed. Here's the pitch real quick. I'm going to give it to you. When Brett's ex-girlfriend asks him to go to New Orleans with her to find her runaway sister Bobby, he stumbles onto a human trafficking operation run by Miss Johnson, known as on the streets as the Widowmaker. Brett has to figure out a way to rescue Bobby and maybe take down the entire organization. Fresh out of the police academy, is he up to the task? Brett will seek the help of his friend Jesse, an officer on the New Orleans Police Department, and also receive help from some unusual sorts. So I know I'm hooked. I'm sold. I can't wait to get this book in my hands when I see Roland Man on the Comic-Con highway. Time is running out, though. 42 hours to go. Don't be left behind. Get on board right now. The very beginning of Cat and Mouse. And there's Liar. Once again, I don't know how we scrolled up there, but that's pretty cool. I love that image, so I'm happy. I think I scrolled up by accident on the end, but it's always nice to see that imagery. And Liars seems like a good book. We really have a great show this week. We have Liar on the show. We have Cat and Mouse on the show. We have the Superscript, which is the comic book writer's sidekick. And we have the Gentleman. And now we get to add into it the Power Knights. I'm telling you, this is a great, great show. And I love how passionate that the creator behind the Power Knights is, Keith and Jones. I don't even know if I'm going to have to say anything after he talks, because that's how passionate Keith is. I promise it's starting.
Hello, my name is Keith and Jones. I am the owner of Kid Comics. I'm also the creator of the Power Knights. The Power Knights is something that I created, drew, written, and colored. I also had help from Chris Ward, a co-writer and friend of mine. And we are working on issue 4, and that's what this Kickstarter is for. And we're hoping for your support. Please check out our Kickstarter below, and you'll see the details of the story and all the awards that we're offering. I want to keep this short by just saying that the Power Knights, I hope, inspires you to face your challenges in life like it inspired myself. And because this whole journey of making this comic has taken me in places I've never been, meeting folks I've never met, obviously, running into different cultures, meeting different types of people. And it's been a real eye-opening experience for me. And I put a lot of that experience in the book, including a lot of personal things I dealt with in my life. So I hope that when you read the book that you'll find inspiration in it, and that you'll continue to be a fan of the series and come back for future issues. Once again, my name is Keith and Jones. I appreciate your support. Please get into the Kickstarter, find out what this whole journey is about, and let's do this. Thank you very much.
Now, I like that sincerity coming off of the creators. I love when creators get behind the camera and you can almost feel their creative power coming onto you. So let's check it out on Kickstarter and see what this is. I love that cover. That cover is just sick. And you guys get the bigger stretch cover. You get to even see a bit about the story here. You get to take a look. This is why whenever anyone talks to me about diversity in Marvel and DC, I always say, you guys got to look towards more indie comics. Forget what Marvel and DC are doing. This is where diversity lives, in indie comics. It's about telling great stories and not trying to change things that have been established, but instead creating new worlds and exciting new characters. There's Dragon Blaze for you guys, and Sunwave. There's Princess Ozana, I think I'm pronouncing that one right, and King Singjo, I think, possibly getting that right. Octagon looks kind of cool. I dig it. I dig it. All the characters look really cool. I love the red hair. That reminds me, that's my Irish talking right there. I love the red hair on the beard. And you got Metal Star. These are the part of the red files, of course. And you got Camouflage, which probably means that he can change his appearance, I'm assuming. Well, I guess I could read it. He's a Chow's warrior with a natural ability to take on the properties of whatever solid material he touches. Okay. He's an elite stealth fighter. Badass, man. Silver looks cool too. I'm digging Silver. Warseed, man. Uh-oh, he was once a Power Knight forced by a powerful spell to conquer worlds in the name of King Sonjo. Now free on Earth, he designs plans to ensure his own destiny. That's pretty cool. So, I mean, this is an exciting project from an exciting creative guy who is always very passionate about what he does. I just a huge fan. And, once again, money where my mouth is, I'm a backer. I got the intro PDF. Again, I hope to run into people. I try to back PDFs very often unless it's got something exclusive. Plus, I ain't made of money. I got kids, so I wish if I win the lottery, I'm gonna spend all day on Kickstarter backing some great projects and getting the exclusive stuff. I do like the cover right here. That's pretty cool. We do have to move on though to our next project, but you don't have to. You can get off right now and back Kid because time is running out. Only 56 hours to go. Don't miss out on the Power Knights #4. We're gonna move on to Sword Maidens for adults only. Now, obviously, this is not going to be for a everyone type of Kickstarter, but sometimes it's okay to not have it be for everyone, and this is performing quite fine right now. So there's definitely an audience, and that's important to remember. People like this stuff. I mean, I like it. I dig it. I haven't backed it yet, but I do plan to actually. I like the different variant covers. So there's definitely different artists on it. I'm sure. I thought they switched outfits for a minute. Like I said, not everyone's always going to like everything. I know that looks like something you'd see in one of my comics, but with these things, sometimes I get complaints of us covering this, and I'm like, I don't get why. People like this kind of stuff. Fantasy comics are supposed to be about fantasy too. So if someone enjoys this, let them enjoy this. Just because someone makes this book, it doesn't change the world and doesn't make it somehow worse for anything. And you go to any Comic-Con, let me tell you, girls love dressing sexy. Just go to any Comic-Con and you'll see girls dressing up. Girls who are probably not confident in their everyday lives are wearing some of the most sexualized outfits out there. So remember that when you're writing me the hate mail about covering this story. And it's got an interesting story. It's about twin sisters. Hey, no one let the dogs out. Quiet, Cracker. It's about twin sisters Elsa and Ursa are whisked away in the night by their uncle to escape being killed by the demon warlord Garel, who has hunted down the last witch, their mother Ursula. She was given the sword duty by the witch's coven to protect their most powerful knowledge and elder scrolls. You can hear my dog going crazy in the background. All right, so if you're an adult and this speaks to you, back it. If it's not for you, just don't back it. You know, it's okay to allow these types of comics to exist. That's all I'm going to say and move on. But as always, if you have hate mail, send it. And you disagree with me backing it, send it to writtensins@yahoo.com. And I'll hear your complaints. Moving on, go west for this 96-page graphic novel written by Garrett Gunn. So that's basically the video. It's raised its goal. There's not a lot for me to talk about. You guys can check it out. I'll give you this synopsis, which is all the Arthur Slade wants to in this world is to be left alone, to live peacefully with his family in the country. But peace is an impossible dream when you live in the most dangerous piece of land in the United States. In the last few years of the 21st century, a rift emerged in the fabric of our nation. A group of revolutionists, fed up with increasingly oppressive role of the government, declared an all-out offensive against the United States, gathering an unexpected following from fellow revolutionists. The United States government was slowly pushed out of the western regions of the country. After a few years of war and tens of thousands of lives lost, the federal government bargained a treaty with the Western outlaws. A line was drawn in the sand on the border of Nevada and Arizona. The government would let the outlaws have this land in exchange for peace. Additionally, the outlaws never to step foot outside the territory, but there were still some who revisited. A small gang of outlaws has begun to push the limits of the treaty to travel outside the borders, which are closed. The government has denied that such any events have taken place, but the attacks of these rogues have become increasingly violent. When a group of outlaws murders Slade's family, he embarks on a hell-bent mission to make those responsible suffer. You can hear my son Jaxie jump in the background. He will hunt down every member of the Fist and tear the entire organization to the ground, even if it means he has to cross the border into the western regions. So he's out for vengeance, and you guys can be out to back this amazing story by going to Kickstarter today. Jax likes it. It might be a little violent for 3. Might have to worry about that. But that has been our show. We had such amazing Kickstarters on it. We went west to see the collected edition of Garrett Gunn. We got to see the Sword Maidens and see why it was adult only. We got to power up with the Power Knights for number 4. We got to see the importance of cat and mouse and its hidden message or awareness bringing about sex trafficking. We got to see what Superscript was all about and why it's a comic book's newest sidekick. We got to meet the gentleman, Oliver Solomon, and we got to see Big City Comics' Liar and found out that telling lies can save lives by Jeffrey Kaufman. My name is Mr. Anderson. Jax the Damien Monster Anderson is next to me in the room. If you have a Kickstarter that you want me and him to advocate for you, please send us an email at indieadvocates@yahoo.com. Me and Jaxie got places to go, and you got Kickstarters to back. Remember, supporting indie comics starts on Kickstarter.